Awesome. Marco, welcome on board. Super great to have you here. Good old days. As Chris already mentioned, Marco plays a very important role in developing careers. Mine, JJ's, and Chris. So we were all on the same team at some point, and Marco hired all of us. All right. So welcome.
Thank you very much, Alex. Thanks for inviting me. Really appreciate it. And it's amazing to see how many people are relying on you. And I mean, I have seen even some of the previous meetings, and was really amazing. Really happy to see how these things is evolving, and happy to see you guys really cracking the nuts. And yeah, great to be here. Thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. Yeah, Marco is not a stranger to our streams, so he was here occasionally pulling our leg, asking complicated questions on the chat. So we got some sweats on live. Yeah, great. So what we're gonna do, you know what we're gonna do, but for the audience, what we're gonna do, we're gonna have like a little bit of a fireside chat just to understand perspective of real SAE managers, not only within AWS, because Marco has like huge career behind his back and even huger one in front of him. So, Marco, why don't you just introduce yourself and tell us about your career and how you got to this point where you are now?
Oh, thanks for asking, Alex. Just a comment, right? A long career in front of ahead of me. I hope it will be not that long it was before, but let's see how this will go. So yeah, as you can see, from my gray hair, I started a while ago. My first job was in a physical data center. So I don't know how many people here in this chat have seen a real data center, but nevertheless, my real first job was really as a sysadmin for a novel network. Again, I'm not sure if any one of you knows Novell, and I was responsible for storage and backups. So really the basics, the hardcore of technology. And one thing that if you want to guess how old I am, one of the technology that I was managing at that time was like the physical tapes for doing backups of data. And the first technology that I handled was DLT 8000. That was an amazing, was capable to store 40 gig of data, right, using a SCSI 2. I think that it was quite interesting. I would say that I was lucky enough because technology at that point in time was the end of the 1999, beginning of 2000 was really sparking up. Nowadays, everyone talk about digital transformation, but really at that time, there was the one of first wave of transformation because basically companies were moving from papers to technology somehow. SAP was already mainstream, so many of the company were on the transformation of their process, etc., etc. So quite interesting. After spending this initial part of my career in the data center, I moved to consultancy, and there I had the opportunity to broaden a little bit my view of things, really to go a little bit deeper in how technology was capable to support business processes. And it was really nice to look after the pure technology, right? I'm a geek, right? I really like technology at the core, but that point in time, I was really capable to see how technology was supporting banking, financial services, editorials, newspaper, etc., etc. So really eye opener for me, and this was one of the key points for me, giving me the opportunity to understand what I would like to do in the future, what would be my impact in the future, and really giving even the opportunity that now I'm capable to teach, if I can say, or share my experience with young talents, right, to look after the technology per se, because technology per se is not moving the needle. Technology per se is great when you are playing at home in your room or whatever you are doing, your small projects, right? but you need to start always which is the business problem, or which is the biggest problem that you want to solve, and how technology can support it. So really, really eye opener for me, and I think that was really one of the corner points of my career. After that, in 2010, I moved first time to work in enterprise customer. The enterprise customer is called Case New Holland. Case New Holland is part of the Chrysler Fiat aggregate, specifically focusing on agriculture. So the agriculture business again is quite interesting because there is a lot of technology components on board of tractor, harvester, or whatever you see in the fields. So I had the opportunity to look into how farmer to make their job, and basically we get the food on our plates. But at the same time, was really interesting for me because I had one of the biggest failure in my career, and I think that every one of you had experienced a failure. I think that is at the point of the failure happening is maybe frustrating, but if you look this from the perspective about what you can learn and how you can leverage your learning to progress in your career or doing things better, was great. So basically what we have done is that we took technology as a technology and not keeping in mind that people are using technology and business is using technology. So we introduced what is called the manufacturing execution system in one of the biggest EMEA plants of Case New Holland. And I mean, the plant was built in 1906, so at the beginning of the previous last century, right? So, and was basically not touched since then. Of course, processes and things were changing, but I mean, from the physical structure and the physical buildings of the plant, nothing was changed. And introducing something that was supposed to automate the full supply chain of the building of harvester was quite a long shot, I would say. And what happened since then is that I remember that was the 1st January of 2013. I was at the airport flying to the plant because basically we stopped the production. And again, what I learned hard in the hard way, that every time that a real production system is down, you can count money day, right? And just to give you an example, an harvester costs around 300K euros, right? And basically the plant was capable to produce, depending on the times, but was capable to produce between 6 and 15 harvester per day. So you can easily count, having the plant down for one day, how much was the cost. So the failure that was caused by that was because basically we believed that technology was abstracted from the humans, and we were pretty much arrogant, saying, "Okay, we will move from paperwork to technology work," but fail in the as I said, in the worst way. So we learn a lot, and this is why I'm always saying that you need to work backwards from the business problem, right? And this at the time I didn't know that was working backward, right? But I learned afterwards, because when Amazon start to talk all this as working backward methodology. But basically, you need to understand which is the business problem, which are the biggest implications. So you need to look at the wider range of things, the ecosystem that is around, and see things quite interesting. I will take a pause here. Any question, anything that you want to dive deep, or I can continue because my career is quite long. I don't want to bother anyone
Yeah, and with
much.
that, people were trying to make an educated guess there on the chat about the length of your career. So answers vary between 21 and 29. So at some point, I've been thinking that they were making you a compliment about being 29 years old, but apparently they're guessing your career.
Yes, exactly. So I'm not 29. So
Yeah.
45. Oh, yes, you're right. 45 is my age. Yeah. So just to get to when I moved to AWS, right? So I spent another 5 years at Adidas. I was quite lucky because basically at that point in time there were a lot of changes. So it seems the transformation is following me, right? Being always part of my career. So I understand when I joined Adidas is that the CEO was changing, so and the CIO as well, and we started what everyone calls digital transformation. But this was really hardcore transformation because basically Adidas was and it is a retail company, really brick and mortar. But of course, at that point in time, 2010, was pretty much clear that being a brick and mortar company was not really forward looking, right? So we really start to insource the e-com, so the adidas.com that you see today on online. It's a part of the transformation. We started almost with zero software engineers, ending up when I left Adidas after 5 years around 300 software engineers, product led, all the e-commerce insourced. So quite a large transformation, really great experience, especially for me that I didn't come with any retail experience. Was great because I really understood the business. And as a pro tip, right, is don't be scared to jump in an industry where you don't have experience. This is this take this as an advantage, right? Really to learn how the business works, to learn how the customer interact with your business domain, and start from there. Because I mean, if I would not be curious, I would still being in the data center and changing maybe my tapes, right? So I was really open, always open to take challenges, learning new things. So really a good opportunity for every one of you. If you have this, please jump ahead, take it, and try to learn as much as you can.
This is awesome. So, as far as I understood, so you're the guy partially responsible for those videos on TikTok. I know you're like laughing at TikTok, but I kind of watch it anyway. There are some quite a lot of videos, people really chilling in the tractors and harvesting crops and really not doing anything, and the machine just does everything automatically. So, you're the guy kind of responsible for those videos. It's interesting to find out now.
No, yeah, so Alex, this is quite interesting because at that point in time, already harvester were provided with autonomous drives, of course, based on GPS and based on other technologies. But no one at that point in time was mentioning. I mean, Tesla was not existing at all, right? But yeah, I mean, there is so much technology, and basically, when you are on these big hubs, you have surrounded by technology. You have radars, you have scanners, you have everything. I mean, people is a very hard job because you spend hours inside the cabin, so you need to have all the comforts as well.
Yeah. Awesome. And the other thing I want to point out, especially to the audience, is that moment of earned trust where Marco, like with all this large career behind Marco's back, still man's not shy to admit that there were some failures and stuff like that. So if you, in your working setting, or if you're going to the interview, don't try to be perfect. Nobody gonna believe it because we all do mistakes, and it's just gonna erode trust in the beginning. So this is like very well demonstrated. Thanks a lot. So it was unintentional. It's just I think in your DNA already.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, Alex, so
Right.
you touch upon the point about how to tackle the interview as a candidate, right? So, I mean, this is a very good segue for this, right? And you mentioned
Absolutely.
about not
So
being perfect.
yeah.
Go ahead.
So like segueing to the interview. So let me ask you this. What do you look for when you're interviewing candidates? It's not only, don't talk only about Amazon or AWS, of course, because again, you hired for different companies. I believe you're hiring for your current company too. So what is that you're looking for?
Yeah. So I think that besides the technical capabilities, I'm always looking at other things, right? So I'm looking at, first of all, about the motivation. Why someone want to join a company, right? Really to understand, and what I'm looking expecting that a candidate is a little bit noisy now. Just a second. Yeah.
No worries, we can still
So
hear you.
yeah. So I think that one of the things that I'm always looking is about motivation, as I said, and this is something that every candidate need to demonstrate. So please, every time that you are doing in an interview, spend time to understand the business of the company. Spend time to look at on Google or videos or whatsoever, learning how the company operates. If the executives are speaking around at conferences, if there is anything about their challenges, go on the public website and see how are the company values, and try to make sure that when you are going through the interview you demonstrate that you have spent this time, because it's really appreciated, right? So I think that this is one of the things that I'm looking. The second thing is that sometimes I'm really laughing at job specs, because seems that everyone is looking for the perfect candidate. So the perfect candidate doesn't exist, right? I'm not looking at the expert. I have met a lot of people failed to demonstrate to be expert, because today technology is so broad, and the depth required is so big that no one can be the expert on everything. So what I'm trying to say is that every one of us has a background, every one of us has an expertise, every one of us has preferences based on your knowledge, based on whatever, right? So what I call this as a T shape, right? So the T is how is big your breadth, right? And the bottom of the T is how you can deep in some topic. And as you can imagine, especially when you are at the beginning of your career, your T is pretty small, right? So leverage this. Don't pretend to try to talk about everything, right? It's perfectly fine saying, oh, I don't know this, is not my area and expertise, right? So what I always warn everyone, don't guess, because if you are guessing an interview, um, this is a behavior that you might have normally, right? So we don't know, as an interviewer, right, as a manager, you don't know the person, and maybe the first time this is what counts. And if you see a person guessing since the interview, the first interview, then your assumption is that this person is guessing all the time. And especially when you are in a customer facing role or in a business role, I mean, guessing is not good, because people, they will trust you, and if you guess wrong, um, this will end not well, right? So I think that being yourself all the time and being honest is always the best approach. So I think that's the other thing that today I'm seeing more and more is over indexing on buzzword, right? So again, being very mindful about using buzzword, because buzzword, they can more questions, right? So I think that you need to be very mindful on this.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. There are some questions on the chat. I won't pick up all of them probably because we are short on time and we have so many things today packed. But just one interesting thing in your perspective, because some people might be in a worry a little bit because now they do a lot of effort to learn cloud skills, right? And the
Yeah.
question is basically kind of hinting on that. If it's not going to be useless like that other framework which becomes deprecated after a year or two. So basically the question coming um, from the audience is that this move to the cloud, is it like a temporary thing? Do you think that on-prem data centers will move back at some point, like with this whole reorganization into hybrid cloud and private cloud for various use cases? What's your take on that?
Yeah. So from my perspective, and speaking about my personal perspective, I think that the trend to move to the cloud will not stop, right? What I'm currently seeing is that there are a couple of type of application or some rules, regulatory rules for some industries, that they will still require to have an on-prem setup. So I think that for the next 4 or 5 years, still we will see a lot of hybrid. Still, there are a lot of industries that are at the early days moving to the cloud, right? So everyone now think that cloud is mainstream. Cloud is really not yet mainstream. There are still a lot of applications running in data center for multiple reasons. If you just think that core banking is still running on a mainframe system, I mean, you can see how far the industry should still move, right? So I would still really think and see that the market will be still hybrid. I don't see going back to the data centers some regulatory things will happen. I don't think that will going to happen because this will be highly disruptive. So I think that the road to the cloud is well established. Still early days on that one. So a lot of opportunities for people looking at the cloud as to leverage the cloud for their career.
Let's pick another one here from the chat. Thanks for that. So Parna Mehta asking, if we have the knowledge, but we don't have recent or any hands-on experience on the job experience for the role we have applied for, how can we convince the interviewer, so potentially you, right, to take a chance on us to build those skills?
Yeah. So what I was saying, this is a very good question, because there are two ways of doing hiring, right? One is the potential of the person, right? Really based on the motivation, or because the companies, they have a really immediate need, right? So that's why I said at the beginning, do your research, try to look at try to build the company that you want to apply for. Because, for example, at my time at AWS, there are a lot of early careers, right, programs. So early career programs, basically, they are looking for people that they have even a zero or little experience on the job. And this is perfect for this use case. If you are looking more at the enterprise level, research about the company, about what the company is doing, where are the pain points of the company. Because, as I said, companies, they can hire two type of people: one for covering an immediate need, or future proof, right? So future proof would be a very good opportunity for the ones that they don't have a lot of experience. If they are looking to cover a problem, I mean, if you don't have a practical experience, the chance that you get hired is almost zero, right? So you don't need to convince anyone. You is I would say bilateral, right? I mean, you need to be happy to join the company, and the company need to be happy to hire you. So you don't need to try to convince anyone of things that you don't know. You need to be yourself. You need to show that you can bring something. And then if you will just get don't get this personal, right? Don't get obsessed with the fact, oh, I don't have experience, I will never find a job, right? Try to target the job that you are looking at based on your experience and your expectations, and I think that you will be successful. So you need to build up your career. You cannot start at the end. You need to build up to have clear what you want to achieve, and I'm pretty much sure that with this planning, every one of you will be able to achieve your goals.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thanks. Thanks for sharing that. And on that note, the other question I want to ask you is, what if a candidate applies to AWS or AWS related roles in some other company, be it a partner, be it just some software house which uses AWS extensively, and they don't really have that AWS knowledge. They come from on-prem backgrounds, so they've been juggling those servers as you used to do, and basically, like, your career is hinting already on the answer to this question. How important this AWS proficiency is actually. So if the role is AWS, but you're good in cloud, in not in cloud in particular, but on-prem technology and in general computer science, is there still a way?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, having knowledge about network, storage, backup, so traditional on-prem things or anything else, security, is part of the T-shape that I was mentioning at the beginning, right? So I think that there are open at AWS, but even in other company, very specific roles, right, that are more what we call specialists, right? So people that they have a profound knowledge about storage, for example. there are tons, even in AWS, tons of roles for people specifically with. So what I'm saying here is, don't be obsessed to demonstrate your cloud knowledge, because I mean, cloud is not rocket science. Everyone can learn cloud. So again, target the role based on your experience, understanding what is the requirement, and I think that you can build up your knowledge on the cloud, both on your personal time, right, studying, as many of you are doing, but even giving an opportunity to join a company that maybe is moving to the cloud, where you can learn on the job, you can build up your knowledge. So for people that, because I see people asking in the chat, Alex, that they are looking even at how to apply to AWS SA roles, right? So SA, they need to have like one area of depth, right? So part of the T, but they need to demonstrate even how they can connect the dots with business, right? So it's not only about technology. You can be depth in network, you can be still an SA, right? There is nothing preventing you to be a successful SA. You need to demonstrate all the time that you are capable to connect the dots between the business and technology, that you have an understanding. So your breadth in terms of knowledge is quite large, especially from business understanding and technology supporting the business. On the art side, every one of us can learn, especially in companies like AWS, but even not only AWS, even in my current company, lateral moves, expanding knowledge is part of the continuous learning, right? So it's really, really important that people, they have the right mindset and going in the continuous learning experience.
Oh yeah, especially at AWS, lateral movement is very often happen. It happens very often. One thing, and the other thing, I think it's even somehow appreciated by the company. So if you check, for example, my LinkedIn profile, you will notice that my time at AWS or Amazon in general was not in just one particular role. Yeah, so can we maybe just a little bit summarize and generalize there are some questions for other roles, related roles like business development, account management, consultant. Maybe we'll come back to that question, but can we summarize what makes actually a good SA? So what's that for hiring manager?
So a good essay. This is a very, very good question again, Alex. So a good essay, as I said, need to demonstrate to be passionate, need to demonstrate to keen to learn. So people that are coming with whatever experience, that during the interview are open to be challenged and not arrogant, pretending to know everything, they are the perfect candidates, right? As I said, demonstrating capabilities to understanding how technology supports business is another great attitude. I really like always people that they are capable to explain without using too much buzzwords how they solve a problem as business problem, right? I think that another great attitude to be hired as an SA is having the capability to use the STAR format. I guess that Alex, you spoke already in the BESA program. What is the STAR? I think that one of the things that many times is happening, that you meet a lot of great people with a lot of technology background, right? But they are not capable to demonstrate with data points what was the problem, how the problem was solved, right? And what was their contribution to the problem. So I think that following the STAR program is always the STAR methodology is always the best to demonstrate your capabilities and to not impress, but making the life of the hiring manager easier. So these are the things that I always suggest. So I saw before someone saying, "Oh, I have 15 plus year experience," right? Yes. With this data, I cannot make a judgment if you can apply for a senior role or just a role as a solution architect, because the year experience, yes, are one parameter, right? But for example, complexity is another parameter. Impact is another parameter. So as I said before, when I was at AWS, I had the opportunity to interview almost 100 people, right, in 2 years, and I had the opportunity to interview really senior technologists. Capable to hire them because they were not able during the interview process to connect the dots. So not always the best technologies is the person that is hired. Make sense?
That well, like you expect me to say now? No, not at all. Of course it does. Of course it does.
Maybe not. I don't know. It's an open discussion. So Alex, feel free to challenge me.
Yeah. So I mean, with SA role, I think we covered quite a lot of things, and you mentioned also important aspects of it. There is another question, though. I'm not sure if you're the right person to ask because you're very into technical world as far as I know. But maybe you still have a perspective. If not, feel free to push back. You're not gonna break our heart. Like for someone who wants to make a career either in business development, account management, consultant, like what we call business roles, maybe in cloud for enterprise customers. What level of knowledge would you expect for the cloud? It's like, is it expected to be hands-on experience, or is it like certificates, or what's that? And don't start with it depends consulting answer.
So are we talking just to understand a little bit better the question? We are talking about business role, so not technical role, right?
Yeah. So business roles, but those are related to tech, right? So the business roles in tech, basically.
Yeah. Everyone that is working in a technology company like the Funk company, you need to have a sound understanding of technology, right? Sound understanding doesn't mean that you need to be always a developer moving to sales or to whatever, but you need to understand how cloud can help you or help the companies to move forward, right? Really connecting, again, sorry to use again the same wording, but really connecting, right? Because when you are in a business role, you need to talk the business language. Most of C-level, they are not interested to technology. I mean, I can say almost anyone is interested in technology at the C-level, right? Everyone is interested in say, okay, I need to grow my pipeline, grow my customer retention by 10%, or we need to grow our EBITDA by 2%. So you need to be able to demonstrate or to showcase how leveraging technology you can cope with these business problems, right? So having a sound understanding about cloud and what cloud can bring in the business context is mandatory. So to answer to your question, I don't think if you want to go in a business role, you need to understand clouds at the developer level, but you need to understand cloud technology can help companies to solve their business problems.
Thanks for that. So we have, as I said already before, we have quite a lot of things today planned. But we still have 3 minutes left. Let's try to pack 2 questions in those 3 minutes. So one is coming from the chat, and this is a little bit a sneaky one. And the person is basically worrying about like how to so that it's difficult to shortlist the resume because it's competitive market, and in order for resume to be shortlisted, it's kind of perceived to be a good move to pack skills into from job description into the resume. But then it might be the case that those skills are not really backed by the experience. Like how to defend that action then within the interview.
Yeah. So thanks for asking, Alex. This is a very tricky question. What I would suggest, and I guess that Jamila here can talk about this extensively. You need to really build a network. You need to make sure that you understand what the hiring manager for that position is looking at. So that's why I'm always saying, don't just apply blindly to roles, right? Don't go and I've seen in my career people applying for 10, 15, 20 roles, right? Don't do that. Don't do that. That doesn't sound great, right? So really to focus, really to try to find who is the hiring manager, really try to find or connect with a recruiter, right? Having a informal chat with them, having coffee chat with them, and try to really understand what are the core skill set that are looking for the job. Because if you look at the job description and you prepare your CV related to the job description, maybe you just waste a lot of time, because in the job description you can find some hard requirements and some nice to have, right? And sometimes the hard requirements are not negotiable. So if you don't have any of these hard requirements, don't try to apply or don't try to make it, because I mean you will waste your time, you will waste time of the recruiter. They need to go through the CVs, right? So my advice, spend time to look at the job description, be self-critical, but don't underestimate the fact that you need to connect even with recruiters. At AWS, you can find a lot of recruiters on LinkedIn, on other social network. You can find a lot of hiring manager posting their hiring. I mean, even in my current company, I'm posting my current opening, right? So easy. I think give you even an opportunity to understand which is the company culture. Because if you reach out an hiring manager and you don't receive any answer, I think that there is at least a yellow flag, because everyone is talking about the shortage of talent. And if you receive a message or whatever from someone that is interested to apply for a job and you don't spend time to reply to this person, I think that there is a problem. So please, please, please be careful about red and yellow flags. So if you are approaching an hiring manager that is posting on LinkedIn, on any other network, that is looking for candidates, you approach him or her in a politely way and you don't get any answer, please discard this company from your radar, because maybe it's not the right company for you.
Yeah, speaking of looking for recruiters, there's gonna be one just in a minute from now. And before we go, Marco, thanks a lot for sharing all this. Can you maybe tell a couple of encouraging words for the participants who are hesitant to apply? Because you know the bar is quite high to jump, and many just hesitate to click that apply button. What would you say to them?
Yeah, so I think that you need to be self-critical. You need to take time to reflect on yourself. You need to take time to understand what you want to do. So please plan your career. Don't jump in something that after that you say, okay, well, this was not a good move, right? Really plan your career. Think through. Think what are your strengths, right? And then if you think that your strengths are valuable for a particular job, a particular company, just apply. Use, as I said, some nice tips, right? Pro tips, trying to find the hiring manager, trying to find the recruiter of these companies, right? And trying to connect with them to understand, to double check if your beliefs are confirmed by the recruiter or hiring manager, and then just apply. Prepare yourself is the only way how to be successful, but preparing yourself means that you need to understand what you want to achieve and what are your strengths. Without that, any one of us will be successful in any interview.
Marco, thanks a lot from my side. Thanks a lot from Besta team, and thanks a lot for the whole from the whole audience for joining us today. It was super cool to chatting you live, and yeah, a little bit like good old days, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for inviting me. So people are looking at me, how to find me on LinkedIn. I can just change here. You can find me easily. My surname is quite easy to find. So you can find my surname here, search on LinkedIn, connect with me. And Alex, really great to see how much passion you put on this, and all the team is doing great. I see a lot of people here commenting and being really involved. So this is a great to see that. I'm really looking forward for your success.